Hi, I'm Marie Christiani, the aerialist chef. Today I'm going to show you how to make this wonderful coffee cake. This is Nana Willis's cake. I got this recipe from the Florida Sun Sentinel, the Fort Lauderdale Sun Sentinel, and it's a delicious coffee cake you can make with things you already have sitting around in your pantry. Stick around and I'm going to show you how to make this cherry pie filling version. Okay, let's get baking. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my oven to 350 degrees. Next, we're going to start with the dry ingredients. The only equipment you actually need is a food processor. That's what makes this so wonderful. The entire cake is made in this. So, using your blade attachment, I will add the flour. Now, don't worry, all the ingredients and instructions will be down below in the comment section. Flour, the brown sugar, I have cinnamon and salt, and then I always fresh grate my nutmeg. I don't ever use already ground. It has no flavor. It could have been sitting on the shelf for 400 years. You don't know. So you want it fresh. Believe me, when you smell how wonderful fresh nutmeg is, you'll never go back. All right, that's it. That's all the dry ingredients. I'm going to pulse it just a little bit to combine those few things before I add the cold butter. All right, to the dry ingredients, I'm going to add the butter. Now you've noticed I've cut them up in little pieces, and I actually took this right out of the freezer, just like you make pie dough. And the reason for that is you want to cut the butter into the flour, and there'll still be pockets of butter so that when the cake bakes, you'll have these wonderful moist pockets, buttery wonderfulness. All right? And this is simply a matter of pulsing together just a little bit of the butter. It's a little violent in there now. And when I hear it where the butter is starting to yield to the flour, then I'll stop. All right. I'm going to remove 1 cup of this mixture, and this is going to become the topping for the cake. All right. I put the lid back on. Now, a variation that I often do to this cake is I'll replace, there's 3 cups of flour, I'll replace 1 of those cups with almond flour. And it's absolutely delicious. I wouldn't replace any more than that because you need the gluten to hold the cake together, okay? But it's really wonderful. All right, now I'm going to add the liquid ingredients as well as the baking soda, and that's what's going to give the lift to the cake. I do sift. I always sift my baking soda. And we'll just add our milk and 1 egg. You see, you probably have all of this sitting around in your house. And now we're just going to pulse and bring it all together into a batter. As soon as I see it combined, I'm going to stop because I don't want to overwork the gluten. That's it. How easy was that? Now I'll see a little bit of flour still in there, and that's okay because I will finish mixing like I do most cakes. I finish it by hand. That gives me an opportunity to make sure that flour is incorporated as well as everything underneath has come up. You know, it's not just sitting on the bottom of your bowls because sometimes that happens. All right, that looks really good. I can see clumps of butter, and that's what I want to see. I know that I combined it perfectly then. I have a 9x13 pan that I've sprayed with baking spray. No need for parchment here. If you don't have baking spray, just take some butter that's fairly soft with your hand and just smush it all over. And that way you know it'll come out. All right, I'm gonna put my finger and hold the blade in place so it doesn't plop out and cut me. And I'm gonna go ahead and put this inside. Now it'll look like it's not a lot of batter, but the baking soda is gonna give it the lift and it's gonna poof up, because that's what baking soda does. It gives you the poof in your cakes. I love this recipe. I can't tell you how many times I've made this cake. Somebody shows up unexpectedly and you want to serve some coffee and sweets, and you're thinking, and you know, especially when they come to my house, they expect a fresh baked good, right? And this is something that I can do very quickly while we're chatting, and everybody thinks I'm a genius, but it's really so simple. Now I'm going to show you my variation on this. I'm going to add, as well as the almond flour. Besides that, after I smush this all together, and you'll see there's clumps of butter in there. I'm okay with that because I know it's going to make it nice and ooey and gooey, which is the way every baked good should be. All right. Now, my secret weapon today is cherry pie filling. Now, you could just stop here, put the crumb topping on there and bake it, and it's delicious. But I just thought I'd show you some fun variations. So you can make your own pie filling, which is usually what I do, to be honest with you. Or you can just buy, there's a lot of pretty decent already made ones like this one. And I don't worry about it being too perfect. I'm just gonna move it around so there's a little bit of cherry goodness in every bite. You can do peach, you can do apple, all kinds of different ones. And then you can also add, what you're going to see I'm also going to do, is I'm going to add a little bit of walnuts on top. I just take this, I sprinkle it, you know, evenly as possible around it. I like to use my hands. Make sure you get to the edges. I like the edges of cakes. All right, and I just make sure it's evenly spread. Don't push too much because you'll pull up the cherry. And then I'm going to add my chopped nuts. You see how easy that is? This will go in a 350-degree oven, which you've already preheated, so it's ready to go. Look at that. It'll bake 35 to 40 minutes. Now remember to subscribe to my channel and like it. And if you add a comment or have any questions, I promise to get back to each and every one of you. And if you have suggestions on shows that you would like to see, or better yet, eventually, if you'd like to come and bake with me, please contact me and let me know, because I would just love that. All right, here we go into the oven. The coffee cake is in the oven. It's almost ready, but before it comes out, I'm gonna go ahead and make a vanilla glaze. You don't need this. You know, it's perfectly fine on its own, but I just love the sexy look of a glaze on a cake, especially coffee cake. So I have 2 cups of powdered sugar already sifted, and I'm gonna add melted butter, vanilla extract, which I never measure, and a pinch of salt. And every time I make a frosting or a glaze, I do like to add a pinch of salt, because that balance of flavors is always what you're looking for. All right, I'm gonna give that a stir. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add 3 to 4 tablespoons of milk, cream, half and half, whatever you happen to have on hand. And you just stir that together until it's a consistency that you like. You wanna be able to pour it, but you don't want it real runny. Now, you will want the cake to cool a little bit if you want to see the glaze, or if you want it to melt into the glaze, think of a cinnamon roll, then you can do it fresh out of the oven. It's just totally up to you. Once I get it mixed in, I'm going to go ahead and take my whisk, because I want to ensure that it's really smooth. That's it, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, think of a cinnamon roll glaze. You could do a cream cheese glaze, but this is just a simple vanilla. You see how it's still thick enough, but it wants to plop. And I'll just put it in a pastry bag. You could put it in a Ziploc and just push it to the corner, snip one edge and use that. There's all kinds of ways you can do it. And so that's ready. I'll set that to the side, and as soon as the cake comes out, I'll show you how I glaze it. The cake is out of the oven and it's still a little warm, but I don't know about you, I just can't wait anymore. And I've transferred the glaze that we made into a piping bag. And if you don't have a piping bag, I suggest using a gallon Ziploc. This is a quart. I think it's a little too small, but I didn't have a gallon. I just want to show you. You would put it in and you would push all the frosting down to one corner, and then you're going to snip that corner off and use it like a piping bag, okay? So don't feel like you have to run out and buy a piping bag. You could even make the glaze a little bit runnier, put a little bit more milk or cream, and actually dip a fork or a spoon and drizzle it. It'll make a mess on the countertop, but then you can lick it off. All right, so I have my pastry bag. I'm gonna take, and I wanna snip just a small, I can always make the hole bigger, but if I make it too big, then it's gonna plop out, which actually that sounds pretty good. Okay, anyway. So I'm going to start in a diagonal. Actually, that's way too small because I want more glaze than that. See, do as I say, not as I do. All right, anyway, back and forth at an angle. I mean, you can do it any way you want. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Just a yummy way to do this. There we go. And then I'm going to start this way and go this direction. Look how wunderbar that is, darling. Ooh, don't throw away any leftover glaze because you can use this on all kinds of different things, and I never throw this away. Put it in a Ziploc and save it. All right, we're gonna cut a piece and taste it. Our coffee cake is ready to taste. Look at that. Remember when I told you the baking soda was going to give it that lift? Look at that. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to taste it and let you know what I think. It's very moist. Ooh, look at that. Wow. It's like a coffee cake and a Danish got married and had a kid. That's what this tastes like. You've got to try this. Goes perfect with coffee. Thanks for watching. And please, if you like this, subscribe to my channel and click like below. And remember, all the directions to make this wonderful coffee cake will be in the comment section, and I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching.